cafe, located in the heart of Charleston, was a cozy refuge with its aroma of fresh coffee and the soft sound of conversations. Emma, the barista, was known for her contagious smile and the ability to remember everyone's orders. With its walls adorned with local art and always occupied tables, the cafe was a popular meeting spot. Each morning, Emma prepared coffee with artistic dexterity, chatting cheerfully with customers. She loved her job and was proud to be a part of the local community. The cafe was not just a job for her, but a piece of her world. Among the regular customers was Mr. Walters, an elderly man with gentle gestures and a watchful gaze. He always chose the same table in the corner, where he could watch the street's movement. His presence was as constant as the clock marking the hours on the wall. Emma always wondered about Mr. Walters' life. He never talked much about himself, but his brief stories and insightful comments were enchanting. There was an aura of mystery around him, something that Emma found intriguing. On a cold autumn morning, Mr. Walters entered the cafe, his expression a bit more tired than usual. He hesitated while looking at the menu, something Emma had never seen before. She watched, concerned, as he counted the coins in his wallet. Without hesitation, Emma decided to pay for Mr. Walters' coffee and cheese bread. It was a small gesture, but for her, it meant a lot. She didn't know that this decision would change everything. Mr. Walters always arrived at the same time, like clockwork. His smile was a morning greeting, a daily tradition for Emma. He would sit down, order his coffee and cheese bread, and open a worn book, or simply watch people passing by. He shared pieces of his wisdom with Emma, stories of past times, thoughts on life and art. He had a way of speaking that made even the simplest stories seem fascinating. Emma always wondered about his life outside the cafe. He seemed to have lived many lives in one, but kept his secrets well guarded. She respected his privacy, but couldn't help being curious. On this particular day, something was different. Mr. Walters seemed distracted, lost in thoughts deeper than usual. He looked out onto the street, but his eyes seemed to focus on something beyond the horizon. When Emma approached to take his order, she noticed his hesitation, the empty wallet, the look of concern. She felt a pang in her heart seeing this. Determined to do something, Emma prepared Mr. Walters' order as if it were a normal day. She knew that small gestures could mean a lot, especially to someone who seemed to carry the weight of the world on their shoulders. Emma handed the coffee and cheese bread to Mr. Walters with a kind smile. "Today, it's on the house," she said, trying to ease his discomfort. Mr. Walters thanked her with a sad smile, a look of gratitude she would never forget. The manager, Mr. Davis, watched from a distance. He was a man of rules, always concerned with the image and profits of the cafe. When he saw what Emma did, his face hardened. Emma noticed and felt a chill in her stomach. Mr. Davis called Emma to his office. The conversation was brief, but tense. He explained that, despite understanding her intentions, The company had clear policies. Employees could not pay for customers, regardless of the situation. Emma tried to argue, to explain the reason behind her gesture, but the rules were inflexible. With regret, Mr. Davis handed her the notice of termination. She left the office in shock, hardly believing what had happened. Emma's colleagues were outraged when they heard the news. They knew of her generous heart and how beloved she was by the customers. A dismissal for an act of kindness seemed too unjust. The customers who heard about the incident also expressed their displeasure. The cafe was bustling, not with the usual conversations, but with a feeling of injustice that hung in the air. Emma's dismissal caused a stir in the cafe. Colleagues murmured among themselves, while some loyal customers expressed their support for her. The news spread like wildfire, creating an atmosphere of solidarity mixed with indignation. Emma, still dazed, began to pack her things. She felt a mix of emotions, sadness, frustration, but also a deep sense of injustice. She never imagined that a simple act of kindness would have such consequences. Meanwhile, Mr. Davis felt the weight of his decision. He knew Emma was a valuable employee and that his decision would affect the team's morale and the customers' perception of the cafe. But he also felt he needed to maintain discipline and follow the company's policies. Some customers started questioning whether they wanted to continue supporting a business that punished acts of kindness. The cafe, always a place of cheerful gathering, now had an air of tension and discomfort. Among Emma's colleagues, some spoke of pooling money to help her. They knew how much she depended on the job and wanted to show their support in some way. Emma, however, was lost in her thoughts. She loved her job, but began to question whether it was worth working for a company that did not value compassion and humanity. An hour later, when the cafe was still shaken by the event, Mr. Walters returned. He seemed different, more determined, carrying something in his hands. He approached Emma, who was finishing packing her things. With an enigmatic smile, he revealed his true identity. Mr. Walters was actually William Walterstone, a renowned artist who chose to live a modest life to focus on his true passion, painting. He explained that Emma's generosity had touched his heart, and he wanted to give back in some way. He unrolled the canvas he brought, revealing a vibrant painting of the cafe itself, with Emma at the center, radiating joy and human warmth. Mr. Walters' gesture left everyone in the cafe speechless. The painting was stunning, capturing the essence of the place and the people who frequented it. It was a tribute to the community, to kindness, and to the beauty of human connections. Emma was moved, tears welling in her eyes. She never expected something like this. Mr. Walters, with his gesture, had transformed a moment of despair into something beautiful and unforgettable. The manager, Mr. Davis, witnessed the scene and felt a mix of admiration and remorse. He approached Emma and offered her job back, recognizing the value of what she had done and the impact of Mr. Walters' gesture. Emma, however, was at a turning point in her life. Inspired by Mr. Walters and the community's reaction, she decided not to accept the job offer. She thanked Mr. Davis and her colleagues, knowing she was leaving behind more than a job, but a family. Mr. Walters' painting in her hands was a reminder of the beauty that can arise from unexpected moments. As Emma left the cafe, she felt different. The world seemed broader, full of opportunities. She knew it wouldn't be easy, but she was ready to face the challenges ahead. Mr. Walters, now revealed as William Walterstone, watched her leave, knowing his gesture had triggered a positive change. He continued to frequent the cafe, but now he was seen differently by the other customers. The story of Emma and Mr. Walters quickly spread throughout the town, becoming a symbol of compassion and kindness. The cafe, in turn, began to be seen as a place where true human connections were valued. The final chapter ends with Emma standing on a busy street in Charleston, looking at the painting and then to the horizon. She smiles, full of hope and determination, ready to write the next chapter of her life.